Hi, my name's Nick Jennison for Lick Library. Got a lesson for you today on how to deal with sticky alt-dominant chords with minimum effort, in fact with one note. I'm going to show you that in a second, but before we do, a quick word about the gear I'm using. This is a Shergold Masquerader. Beautiful guitar, look at that neck. Splendid thing. Peavey Classic 30. Let's get down to it. Okay, so first of all, let's work out what an alt-dominant chord is and where it often occurs in music. Now, we're not dealing with the extremes of jazz fusion here. This is more about when you see kind of a sticky chord come up in a song and maybe you want to deal with it, but you don't want to get too deep into learning all sorts of scales like modes and melodic minor. That stuff's great, but it takes a while and you probably want results now. So let's talk about one note that you can use when this sticky chord comes up. Now I'm playing the key of A and I'm using A minor pentatonic. Alt-dominant chords, such as this one, tend to come up on the 5th degree of the scale. So you might be playing away in the key of A and you might see an E7 altered chord appear, or an E7 flat 9, sharp 9, sometimes even just an E7. And it's kind of cool to catch these chords and try and reflect them in your soloing. And the way we're going to do that is with one slight optimization to our pentatonic scale. Now, let's begin with the minor pentatonic. I'm sure you know this already, but if we take this in fret number 5, we're going to play. Now, the optimization we're going to make is we're going to take the notes on the D string, just for now, we'll do some more in a second, but we'll take the notes on the D string and we're going to replace both of those notes with the note that's in between the two. And I'm going to call this the Super-Locrian safety note. Think safety net, so safety note, which is kind of cool. What we can do with this is when it comes time to get that alt-dominant kind of sound going on, all you do in your improv is you replace these two notes as an option with just this note as an option. So for argument's sake, if I played the G string, D string, and A string in my minor pentatonic straight through, using the minor pentatonic as options over, for example, this chord, I might get this. And you can see that kind of reflects the chord pretty well. When it comes to making the substitution over an alt-dominant, the chord might sound something like this. So in this instance, what we do is we, again, just take away these two notes on the D string, replace it with this note, but we keep all the other ones. So what we might get now is this. And when it's time to resolve, all we do is go back to our original pool of notes, like this. Now, for my money, the real trick for outlining chords and the way you know you've got it is if you can play in your solo without any accompaniment and you can still hear the chord changes by the notes that you choose. So if I've done this right, you should be able to hear this chord movement. In my soloing. So let's try it using just those 3 strings we talked about in that one position. I'm going to go with something like this. I think that's pretty clear. I think you can hear where those chords are changing even though there is no accompaniment behind me, which means that I've really kind of nailed those changes. Now, if you can do this with the accompaniment going on, it's going to sound even better, which is pretty cool. But this is not the only place that you can play this note. Now, you may have noticed me kind of venturing on down here into the lower extremes of my pentatonic scale. As I'm sure most of you know, you can take the pentatonic scale into our next position down here, and we can go like this. And again. Now what we have here in these notes is a direct mirror of the notes from our G and D strings before, but one octave lower. So we had this, now we have this, which means we can apply the same substitution. So the substitute that we did in our D string, we can now perform on our low E string, which would give us this as a set of options, as opposed to this. And in the 2 octaves, the pentatonic would give us this. And our super Locrian safety note is going to give us this. And then across the entire pentatonic scale, we'd get this. And then with the safety notes, excluding the highest 2 strings, which to me sounds loads like the chord, but there's one more place we can do it. If we were to take this same idea of moving in octaves, we can take a pentatonic scale from here up to here. And again, that's the same note, but 1 octave higher, and we can make our substitution there as well, which would give us this. So making use of all 3 octaves now and kind of wandering through my pentatonic scale, I'm going to see if I can outline those changes again. One more time to refresh your ear. They sound like this. See if you can spot where I make the shifts in my soloing. So I'm sure that sounds like I'm being really clever, but because you've watched this lesson, you know that all I've done is replace 2 of my notes in the pentatonic scale with 1 other note. It's really easy to find, but it sounds dead clever, and if you use it in the right place, you can sound like you really know what you're doing with minimum effort. Now, if you play funk, or you play neo-soul, or you play any of these kind of styles of music that's got a bit of a jazzy thing going on, this is really handy to know if you're called on to do a solo. You can deal with these chords with minimum effort, and your bandmates will be impressed at your knowledge of music theory. So for the time being, I'm going to leave you there. I've got all sorts of other cool lessons on creative topics like this coming up. But for now, my name's Nick Jennison, and I'm signing off. I'll see you later.